I think in a similar sense to Brown Girl Like Me, there is so many issues that are specific to being a brown man that would make it different to their white counterparts, whether that's mental health, whether that's relationships, whether that's family, whether that's the digital age, whether that's the media. A brown man or brown boy's existence is very different to a white boy or a white man's existence. So that's why it's specifically going to be talking to them.
Are you talking
Uh,
about culturally, family, or are you talking about how? Because there's so many layers to that.
there's so many layers, yeah. And that's why we need a whole book on it, because there are so many layers to it. It is culturally, because there are cultural elements of being a brown man. And obviously, there's different types of brown men. If you're a Muslim brown man, your existence is going to be very different to a Hindu brown man's existence. I want to ask all those questions of what that means. And I don't have any of the answers right now. And I think that's why I want to have all these conversations so that I'm better equipped for my baby boy on how he's going to navigate the world. Um, there's faith that plays into that. There's the physical appearance that plays into that. Even the fact that, okay, just off the top of my head, a brown man having a beard is one thing. A white man having the same beard is something completely different.
How?
The way that a brown man with a beard or a turban or whatever you want to put into that will be profiled, or
We're talking a long beard. We're talking like my
we're
beard.
talking your beard.
Okay.
We're talking longer than that. I think that will be perceived differently to a white
Mm.
man walking to the room with that same aesthetic look.
But haven't things moved on since then?
I don't think so.
Really?
No. In this post 9/11 world, I think things have got better, got worse, got better, got worse. I think what we're currently in right now is quite a dangerous and toxic place of how brown men have to navigate this world. I have a husband who is a beard, turban wearing Sikh man. I have to see what he has to navigate on a daily basis, despite the fact of how well he's done professionally, the rooms that he's been on, the boards that he's on, the councils he's on, and all the fancy things he does. He will still go into an airport and be profiled.
Mm.
He still walks into a shop and people take a double take. We'll still go into restaurants and maybe not be the first ones given the best table. Everywhere we go, that's still something.
How does that make you feel as his partner?
Rage. I feel a lot of anger. I feel a lot of rage. I feel rage for my own issues, but then I now see it from his perspective sometimes. And he deals with it extremely well. He's had to deal with these things his whole life. And sometimes he doesn't even see them. Sometimes he doesn't even see them as an issue. I perhaps spot them more than he does. And now I'm going to have a little Sikh boy that I'm raising. So we are deciding to grow his hair. He will have a little Judy, and he will have a top knot and a batka. And hopefully, if he wants to continue to do it, wear a turban one day. I've got to equip him on how he's going to navigate the world. So these are like all the questions that are coming up. So yes, I do think there is something specific to being a South Asian man and the questions we have to ask about navigating that experience compared to a counterpart white male.
How much of that is dependent upon changing or educating society, and how much is it about educating a man? Because I think two men can walk into a room and have two totally different impressions and two totally different reactions.
Yeah.
And I was listening to this clip recently, and it said, and me being a brown man, I can walk into a room which is predominantly white and feel totally fine because
Yeah.
my whole life I've been around white people. I went to private school since I was 3, right?
Yeah.
I don't feel any different. But
Yeah.
what this clip said was that instead of, when you want to own a room, instead of thinking, what do they think of me? Think, what do I think of them?
Yeah. Mm.
That's a powerful reframe, right? Because then you're not having to prove your worth. You're thinking, do I need to be around these people?
Yeah.
What is that person like? Oh, that person I can see is giving me an awkward eye. That says nothing about me, it says everything about them. It shows their lack of education. It shows their prejudice. It shows all these things. I know who I am as a person.
Mm.
And I think that's really important for men as well,
Yeah.
especially men of color, to be so secure in of yourself that you try not to let these things phase you. But
Yeah.
I know how hard it is if you've got symbols of faith, right? We did a whole project, the Sing project and the Sikh project, where
Yeah.
in America is predominantly done to educate Americans that if you wear turban and beard, you're not a terrorist,
Yeah. Mm.
which was really sad. So I know it's not easy.
Yeah.
And I know I had stories of, men saying, one guy said, pre 9/11, someone would see me and say, oh, there's a genie.
Mhm.
Post 9/11, they say, oh, there's a terrorist.
Interest. Yeah.
Mm,
And that one flip in a day.
yeah.
Mm. But I completely agree with what you said there of like, it is somewhat based on that individual building that self-confidence in themselves to be able to walk into a room and not care what anyone's going to think about them. And that's where my husband is great about that. He does not care what anyone thinks. And if anything, he uses his difference
Mm,
as his superpower,
yeah.
as his way to get into rooms and start a conversation and be the one that is different to everybody else that's there. So yes, I agree. We need to install the confidence in the individual, but at the same time educate the other. And I'm hoping that's what the book will be able to do. Install the confidence in brown boys and men at the same time as educating others, because we want the everyone else there to also understand these issues, be empathetic about them, educate themselves on it, be better allies, so that we can then actually fix all those bigger problems that are going on.
How do you think you'll educate people differently than what's already been done?
Mhm.
Don't know if you've thought that far ahead. I'm just thinking, like, what could we do to educate people better? What's been missing all these years, do you feel?
I think this is where it's like multiple approaches. I don't think it can just be one thing that's going to tick the box and we're going to see a change overnight. I'm not expecting that to happen. Change takes time. Any big change historically that's happened socially or culturally has taken time for it to happen, but it's because it's been done in multiple different ways. As a teacher, I'm going to obviously start with the education system. I'm going to start with our schools, our curriculums, the books that we read, the diversity of books that we need to have around us. The fact that if you go into some people's homes, and if they do, first of all, have even books in their home, the type of books that they're reading, they've got a diverse array of authors and backgrounds and cultures that they're reading about. Probably not. We need people to take on that self labor and that self work of educating themselves better on the world around them. And sadly, our schools don't always do that. So it does take some onus on us within our homes, within our families, within our communities to do some of that work to educate ourselves on some of these issues that are going on. That's the more educational side of it, fine. But then you could also see this through the arts, documentaries, films, media. I think we can use so many different ways to have some of these conversations, even doing work like this. This is us having the conversations to educate, not only within communities, but outside of that too. So
I
you
think
do need.
storytelling could be really powerful for you.
Mm.
Like, we're the brown role models for men who are really standing up and
Yeah.
being different.
Yeah.
We're the guys who are gonna go against the grain. I put up some videos, and I know how some men might feel about it. I put up a video recently about love.
Yeah.
Like, when you see a brown man talking about love,
Mm.
we need to see more men,
Yeah.
if we want to help brown men, being positive male role models.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of people, right? And this is actually really interesting doing this work. When I meet a lot of men and I start asking them questions,
Mhm.
I'm trying to understand them better, but I'm also trying to get to their core of who they are and their heart.
Yeah.
They've all got this softness.
Yeah.
They all have it. They just built an armor around it.
Yeah.
And I kind of like find it really interesting to try to release some of the softness from them,
Hmm.
because that's that's how I know who that person is.
How do you get them to do it?
It's the energy, right?
Yeah.
So I saw a friend of mine yesterday, my childhood friend, best friend from childhood. I saw him randomly in the park yesterday.
Uh-huh.
I think I haven't seen him since I was 18. I'm 45 now.
Okay.
And we're talking. I'm asking very surface, ask me very surface level questions, and I just start talking to him about if he's in a relationship, what happened. Start talking to him about love. Start talking about the meaning of life, and the conversation just went from here, pivoted into this beautiful space of openness.
Mm.
And I started to see his pain, and he started welling up when he's talking about his experiences, his life. And when he hugged me, he gave me a kiss on the cheek. I love you, bro.
Mm.
Right? And that was very different to, what's up, brother? You right? It's been a long time,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But that was very intentional for me because I'm like, who is this man
Mm.
who I haven't seen since I was 18?
Yeah.
What is he feeling? You know, he saw Lara and he goes, man, I always wanted a daughter. You know, he hasn't got any kids, right?
Yeah.
These are beautiful conversations for a man to have with another man.
Yeah.
So I think like having positive male role models would be a great way to change
Mm.
and create that change. And it's not, I don't know, the more I'm in the space, the more I actively look for them. There
Yeah.
are obviously guys doing great stuff now with social media. One of the beautiful things about it is that people can share their stories,
Yeah.
you know, so much more openly. So that could be something, you know,
Yeah.
having men, you know, on your platform talking about stuff as the
Yeah.
book comes out. I think,
And that is how to do it through stories.
yeah.
That's what we've done for hundreds, thousands of years, that we're able to connect with one another through storytelling. And I think hopefully that's what that this next book is going to be able to do, with men sharing their stories and showing that there are so many incredible role models out there, and directly speaking to that conversation about masculinity, that by touching and accessing these softer parts of who we are and who men are, doesn't make them any less masculine. And there's ways that can still be synonymous with one another, is what I'm trying to get to the crux with in that book. I started writing the introduction a little bit. I started reflecting on my dad and my partner, and the men that I do know, um, and how they can show strength and softness at the same time.
Mm.
And that to me is what it means to be a man, that they can still be strong but have access to their softness too.
Softness is a strength. I mean, it's said
Yeah.
so easily, but when you actually understand it, it's, I feel so, I'm so confident in who I am
Yeah.
that to show my softer side takes nothing away from my
Takes
strength,
nothing away from me. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think that's the way to say it.